Okay, Chapter 7, Deductions from Gross Estate, Episode 1. In this episode, we will only discuss the first group of ordinary deductions. Kasi, meron tayong ordinary deductions and meron tayong special deduction. Okay, so ordinary and special. Ang ordinary deductions natin, first group, yung tinatawag na kukul. Ito yung dating tinatawag na elite, but this is no longer elite kasi meron ng mga nawala sa dating ordinary deduction. And then, yung transfers for public purpose or public use, saka vanishing deductions. But we will discuss the vanishing deduction in a separate episode. And then yung special deductions naman, we have three kinds of special deduction. Standard deduction, family home, and RA 4917. Yan ang special deductions natin. But for now, we will first discuss yung tinatawag na kukul. Ano ba yung kukul? Claims against the estate, unpaid mortgages, claims against insolvent persons, unpaid taxes, and then losses. The acronym is kukul. So let us start with the first one, claims against the estate. Ano bang claims against the estate? These are debts which are properly chargeable and enforceable against the estate. Babayaran ng estate. Claim, kaya nga claims against the estate. Ang sisingilin ay ang estate. So, payable ng estate. Claims against the estate or indebtedness in respect of property may arise out of contract. Halimbawa, contract of loan. Umutang and then bago mo bayaran, namatay yung debtor. So if you are the creditor, what will be your course of action? File a claim for payment against the estate. Ang sisingilin mo yung estate. Of course, hindi mo na pwedeng singilin yung may utang sa'yo mismo na tao kasi patay na. Kaya nga, claims against the estate. Yung naiwanan niyang properties, yun ang gagamitin sa pambayad sa utang sa'yo. Next, tort. Ito yung tinatawag in our law on obligations and contracts na kulpa akilyan. Halimbawa, meron siyang nasagasaan. Of course, kahit yung biktima ang may kasalanan, merong tinatawag na contributory negligence yung driver. So, magbabayad pa rin ng danyos kahit pa ang may kasalanan ay yung biktima. Halimbawa, pedestrian. And then, by operation of law. Halimbawa, support, claims for support from the children of the decedent. Okay. Ano bang mga requirements para maging deductible ang claims against the estate? Deductible from the gross estate. Ano? Namatay si Juan? Abay, buhayin natin at di pabayad yung utang niya sa akin. Kailangan pa bang buhayin? Not necessary na. Because yung creditor can just file a claim for payment not on Juan mismo, kundi sa estate na naiwanan ni Juan. Okay, so the requisites are para may claim as deduction from the gross estate, the following requisites must be complied. First, the liability is a personal obligation of the deceased existing at the time of his death. Utang niya at hindi pa bayad at the time of his death, nung namatay siya. The liability was contracted in good faith, o hindi panluloko lang, and for an adequate and full consideration in money or money's worth. The claim must be a debt or claim which is valid in law and enforceable in court. So, dapat hindi unenforceable. Valid and enforceable sa korte. The indebtedness must not have been condoned. Kasi one of the modes of extinguishing an obligation is condonation of debt. Pagka mayroong condonation of debt, wala nang utang yung debtor kasi condoned na. Condonation. Parang condonation or remission of debt being one of the modes of extinguishing an obligation, merong donation. Kaya nga, con in English means with. Donation. Pag sinabing condoned na yung utang, wala nang utang. Okay? Or the action to collect from the decedent must not have prescribed. Also, in your loan obligation, another mode of extinguishing an obligation is prescription or lapse of time. Katagalan na panahon, hindi siya naniningil, hindi rin naman nagbabayad yung debtor, merong certain period na after that period, wala nang utang. Extinguished na yung utang ng debtor. Ay, kung nag-prescribe na yung utang niya, yung obligation niya, wala na siyang utang kahit pa sa natural obligation, sinasabing meron pa rin siyang utang, but in our obligation, civil obligation, wala na. So that cannot be claimed anymore as deduction from the gross estate of the decedent debtor. Okay. So, multiple choice question. Which of the following statements is correct about claims against the estate? Tingnan natin. A. A loan contracted by the decedent which is secured by a mortgage of his lot can still be claimed as deduction from gross estate, falling under claims against the estate. Utang, kaya nga loan, utang ng namatay na hindi pa niya nababayaran at the time of his death. Kaya lang, secured by a mortgage. So, pagka secured by a mortgage, ang deduction dyan is not claims against the estate, kundi unpaid mortgage. Not as claims against the estate, kundi unpaid mortgage. Flintek na ito. Yan, unpaid mortgage. So, it is not deductible as claims against the estate. Next. Unpaid income tax and real estate taxes that accrued before the death being payable during the lifetime are deductible from the gross estate of the decedent as claim against the estate. Correct or wrong? Kung unpaid income tax and unpaid real estate taxes, that is not deductible as claims against the estate. Ano pala? Is that deductible or not? Deductible but not as claim, kundi as unpaid taxes. O mo, Next, claims against the estate as deduction from the gross estate represents obligations enforceable during the lifetime of the decedent. Tama yan. Debts contracted during the lifetime of the decedent which is payable in 3 years, but the decedent debtor died on the second year is not deductible from the gross estate. This is false. Deductible pa rin kahit hindi pa nagmamature. Why? Because di naman ibig sabihin na ligtas na sa pagbayad yung estate. So this is false because of the word not. So what is the answer to the multiple choice question? Alin dyan ang correct? Catriona. Okay. Mayroon bang mahirap dyan? Next. Yung unang U. Yan, unpaid mortgages. A mortgage is an accessory contract. Ano ba yung accessory contract? Cannot stand alone. There must be a principal contract in order to have an accessory contract. In a mortgage, probably, the principal contract could be a contract of loan, whereby one party called the mortgagor constitutes his property as security for the fulfillment of a principal obligation. So, halimbawa, yung debtor, umutang siya 300,000 pesos, pero sabi ng inuutangan niya, prospective creditor, baka mamaya takasan mo ko. Kulang ang tiwala ko sa iyo eh. If you want, I will lend you 300,000 pesos, but you have to give me collateral. Okay, so ang sabi ng debtor, okay, walang problema. Imo-mortgage ko sa iyo yung lupa ko. Yung 1 hectare of agricultural land that is valued at 800,000 pesos. Pwede na ba yun? Sabi ng creditor, pwede na. Okay, so yung 300,000 pesos has not yet been paid when the debtor died. So yan ang merong unpaid mortgage. Deductible from the gross estate. Unpaid mortgages which are deductible from the gross estate refer to obligations secured by mortgage. Kung hindi secured by mortgage, that can be claimed as deduction under claim against the estate. Pero kahit utang, kung merong unpaid mortgage secured by a mortgage, that is deductible as unpaid mortgage. So take note, kung kailan dapat maklaim as deduction as unpaid mortgage at as claim against the estate. So what are the requisites for deductibility of unpaid mortgages? The value of the decedent's interest therein undiminished by such mortgage indebtedness is included in the value of the gross estate. So dapat, sa pag-compute ng gross estate, yung mortgage property kasama sa computation. Halimbawa, in our previous example, yung 100 ay yung utang niya is 300,000, the property mortgage is valued at 800,000. So, paano ang sistema natin? Yung 800,000 kasama sa gross estate. And then yung 300,000 deductible as unpaid mortgage. Okay. Erase muna natin para hindi nakaka-confuse. A debt of the decedent secured by a mortgage of property owned by a third person can be deducted as claim against the estate instead of unpaid mortgage. Ayan naman kung ang mortgagor is not the decedent. Is it possible na yung debtor nag-secure ng loan niya na 300,000? Halimbawa, balikan natin yung example natin. Meron siyang unpaid mortgage na 300,000. Pero yung nakamortgage na property is not his own. Ang may-ari ng property is a relative of the debtor. So, will the 800,000 be included as part of the gross estate of the decedent? No, because he does not own the property. What will happen to the 300,000? That is still deductible as ano ba to? Kakainis. As lintik ng as claims against the estate. Kasi, hindi naman siya ang may-ari ng mortgage property, kundi a close relative of the debtor. Next, that they were contracted bona fide and for an adequate and full consideration in money or money's worth. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng bona fide? Bona, buenas, bueno. Bona means good. Fides means faith. So, bona fide means good faith. Okay. Inutang niya in good faith. Kuha mo. Next. Unpaid mortgages are chargeable against the common property if the proceeds of mortgage indebtedness had been beneficial to the conjugal partnership or absolute community of property, even if the property mortgage is an exclusive property. Okay, so, balik tayo sa illustration natin. 300,000 unpaid mortgage. Di ba deduction yan from the gross estate? Ano ang nature ng deduction? Chargeable against the common property or exclusive property. Kung nag-benefit yung common, kung ang nag-benefit ay yung common property, chargeable against the common property. O kaya ang nag-benefit ay yung family. Pero kung ang nag-benefit lang, yung exclusive property ng debtor, chargeable against exclusive property. Okay, depende kung sinong nag-benefit. The rules on chargeability of unpaid mortgage. Yan. I-erase muna natin para makita natin si Smiley kung ano naman ang mga sinasabi nito. Kung nakinabang ang family ay deductible sa common property. It could be conjugal partnership or community property of the spouses. Basta nakinabang yung pamilya o kaya nakinabang yung common property, yung unpaid mortgage, deductible sa common property. Okay, tingnan natin. Dito tayo. Contracted before marriage for the benefit of the donor or prior decedent. Ibig sabihin, yung decedent, natanggap niya as donation from another person. So, kung namatay siya, nung namatay siya, hindi pa bayad yung unpaid mortgage. At the time na na-inherit niya or na-receive niya as donation, meron ng dating unpaid mortgage. Hindi naman siya nag-benefit doon kasi dati na-mortgage. So, it did not benefit the family or the common property. So, that is chargeable against the exclusive property of the decedent. For the benefit of the exclusive property, chargeable against the exclusive property. For the benefit of the common property, chargeable against the common property. For the benefit of the family, chargeable against the common property of the spouses. Simple lang naman yan. Kung nakinabang yung family o kaya yung common property, chargeable against the common property. Otherwise, chargeable against the exclusive property of the decedent. Paano kung contracted during the marriage? Yan. For the benefit of the common property, chargeable against the common property. For the benefit of the exclusive property of the decedent, chargeable against exclusive property. For the benefit of the property of donor prior decedent, chargeable against exclusive property. So, basta ang tatandaan mo dyan, basta ang nakinabang yung pamilya o kaya yung common property, nakinabang doon sa inutang chargeable against the common property. Kung hindi, chargeable against the exclusive property of the decedent. Okay. Next. An unpaid mortgage attached to the inherited property and in which the death of prior decedent took place while the present decedent was still unmarried is a deduction from his exclusive properties if said mortgage still exists at the time of death of present decedent. Na-discuss na natin yan. Nung namana niya, o kaya na-donate sa kanya, dati nang merong unpaid mortgage yung property. In-assume niya as donee, pero at the time of the death of the present decedent, hindi pa bayad yung unpaid mortgage. Hindi naman nakinabang yung pamilya, hindi naman nakinabang yung common property ng mag-asawa. Chargeable against the exclusive properties. If the decedent was a non-resident alien, indebtedness secured by mortgage of real property situated outside the Philippines is not deductible because such property is not included in the gross estate. Remember, non-resident aliens are taxable only on property situated within. So, kung yung unpaid, yung mortgage property situated without the Philippines or outside the Philippines, not deductible. Reason, kasi hindi kasama sa gross estate. Not included because such property is not included in the gross estate. Okay. Kasi, di ba, requisite for deductibility dapat, the mortgage property must be included in the gross estate. Now, kung non-resident alien siya, only properties within the Philippines are included in the gross estate. Kaso, situated outside the Philippines, ito nga, situated outside the Philippines, so hindi kasama sa gross estate, therefore, not deductible. Okay. Meron bang mahirap dyan? So, tingnan natin. Multiple choice question on unpaid mortgage. Which of the following statements is incorrect? So, true or false lang ito. Tingnan natin. An unpaid mortgage as deduction from the gross estate of a resident citizen must pertain to a property mortgage which is situated either within or without the Philippines. This is correct. Kasi makakasama sa gross estate. Why? Because the decedent was a resident citizen. Next, unpaid mortgage as deduction from the gross estate of a non-resident alien must pertain to a mortgage property which is situated within the Philippines only. Correct. Kasi, kung non-resident alien, remember, pag non-resident alien, taxable only on property situated within the Philippines. Kaso, kung kung property outside the Philippines, not included in the gross estate. That's why this is correct. Next, if the unpaid mortgage was contracted by a prior decedent on a property inherited by the present decedent before marriage, it is chargeable against the community property if it benefited the community property of the spouses. So kahit pa contracted, yung unpaid mortgage was contracted by a prior decedent and before the marriage, kung ang nakinabang naman doon sa unpaid mortgage, yung community property ng mag-asawa, deductible yun as community property, as deductible against the community property. Next, if the unpaid mortgage was contracted by a prior decedent on a property inherited by the present decedent during the marriage, it is chargeable against the community property of the spouses if it benefited the community property of the prior decedent. This is not even, tingnan natin, sinong nag-benefit? Prior decedent. Chargeable against the community property. This is wrong kasi the unpaid mortgage did not benefit the family or the community property of the spouses. Ang hinahanap natin yung wrong statement. So the answer is Diana. Next. CU na tayo. Another C. Claims against insolvent person. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin nito? Kung kanina claims against the estate, yung estate ay yung decedent, namatay siya, meron siyang utang na hindi pa bayad, claims against the estate. Dito naman, sa claims against insolvent person, siyang merong pautang. Kaya lang, hindi na masisingil kasi insolvent na yung debtor. Okay. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng insolvent? Insolvency is the state of not being able to pay the money owed because of insufficient assets to pay all debts. Mas marami siyang utang kaysa sa pambayad. So, pwedeng may makolektang portion of the debt but not the entire debt kasi mas marami siyang utang kaysa sa pambayad. Ibig sabihin, kulang yung pambayad niya. Hindi mo babayaran lahat ng utang niya. Ano ang requisite? Important requisite, the value of the decedent's interest therein is included in the value of the gross estate and that the debtors are incapable of paying their indebtedness. Dapat, the value of the decedent's interest therein is included in the gross estate. Magkano ang deductible? The amount of deduction is the value of indebtedness which cannot be collected anymore because the debtor has been declared insolvent. Yun lang na amount which cannot be recovered anymore from the insolvent debtor. It may be either exclusive or community property deduction. Ano naman ito? Hop. Isama sa gross estate ang buong claim, tas ibawas yung bad debt. Okay. Paano kung ganito? Yung buong claim, 500,000. Yung uncollectible, 200,000. Magkano ang isasama sa gross estate? Ang isasama sa gross estate ay ang buong 500,000. Pero ang bad debt dyan is 200,000 only. What happens to 300,000? That is not deductible. Kasi makukolekta naman niya. Kasama na yan sa gross estate. Diba? Kasi 500,000. Okay, multiple choice question tayo. Which of the following options is correct in claims against insolvent persons? So, true or false? As deduction from the gross estate, only the entire amount of uncollectible claims shall be included in the gross estate of the decedent. True or false? Pinapakita ko lang na yung entire claim kasi gross estate ang pinag-uusapan. Ang sinasabi dito, gross estate, so it should be the entire claim. So this is false. As deduction from the gross estate, the full amount of receivable, including uncollectible, must be included in the gross estate. Okay, this is correct. Such claim is not deductible from the gross estate if the decedent was also insolvent at the time of death. Kahit pa yan insolvent o hindi, basta meron siyang natirang gross estate, dapat meron siyang naiwan na property that is part of the gross estate. And syempre, entitled na mag-claim ng deduction yung estate. So this is false. If the entire debt is uncollectible, it may be omitted in the gross estate and as deducted therefrom. No. Dapat isama sa gross estate tas deduction from gross estate. Hindi pwedeng tanggalin mo na ito. Tanggalin mo rin ito. Wrong. Isama mo yan, isama sa gross estate at isama as deduction. Okay. So the answer is yung correct statement, Bianca. Next, naka-COC na tayo. Ano yung sunod? U. Unpaid taxes. To be deductible, taxes must have accrued before death. Ibig sabihin, utang na nung namatay siya. Unpaid taxes at the time of death. Taxes that have accrued after the death are not deductible. Okay. The following are deductible. Income taxes which have income taxes on income earned before death. Kung income earned before death, the income taxes have accrued prior to the death of the decedent. Property taxes which have accrued before death. Ano ba yung property taxes natin? We have only one property tax in the Philippines. Real property tax. And the accrual is January 1. Pwede bang bayaran na prior to January 1? Halimbawa, January 1, 2021 yung accrual. Pwede nang bayaran December? Pwede na. Ako nga, kagagaling ko lang doon sa City Treasurer's Office. Binayaran ko ang real property tax ng house and lot. House and lot ko. Okay. Pero para sa 2021 pa yun. Nagkataon lang na napunta ako sa City Hall. So, binayaran ko na para hindi na ako pabalik-balik doon. Next. Donor's taxes that are unpaid at the time of death. Basta ang requirement, it must accrue, the taxes must accrue prior to the death of the decedent. Ano naman ang sabi nito? Nakasalamin pa. Hindi po deductible ang unpaid taxes kung nag-accrue after death. Because the requirement is dapat mag-accrue before the death of the decedent. Okay. Multiple choice question. All of the following except one are deductible from the gross estate of a decedent who died September 30, 2014. Hanapin natin yung non-deductible. Okay. A. Income taxes on income earned from January to September 29, 2014. Deductible yan kasi income earned prior to the death. January to September. Before the death yan. Gift taxes on donations given June 12, 2014. Deductible. Kasi donor's tax, ang babayaran yan, donor's taxes accrue at the time of the donation and payable within 30 days from the date of the donation. Real property taxes payable during the last quarter of 2014. Ang sabi ko nga, real property taxes accrue January 1. Nag-accrue yan January 1, 2014. Kahit pa payable yan last quarter, nag-accrue na yan. Ako nga, yung binayaran ko para sa isang taon na. Kaysa naman kaunti lang naman, mahigit lang naman 5,000 yung real property tax na binayaran ko. Pabalik-balik ako doon. Hanggang sa makalimutan ko na yan. Saka, isa pa, pagka binayaran mo in advance, merong discount. Yung mga local government units nagbibigay ng discount, maximum of 20%. Okay. So, this is deductible. Next, income tax on income earned during the last quarter of 2014. So, the income was earned during the last quarter. So, at the time of death, wala pang income tax na nag-accrue. So, ibig sabihin, nag-accrue yung na-earn yung income last quarter, nag-accrue din yung income tax last quarter din. So, this is not deductible because the income tax in letter Diana have accrued after the death of the decedent. So, the answer is Diana. Next, losses. Kukul. Okay. Meron na tayong kuko. Last na lang, L, losses. L stands for losses. Losses are deductible if the following requisites are complied, compiled, complied. Complied. Okay. The value of the property loss must have been included in the gross estate. Okay. Bakit isasama pa? Samantalang nawala na yung property. Bakit isasama pa sa gross estate? Mamaya, di-discuss natin yan. The loss must arise from fire, storm, shipwreck, or other casualties. It must be a casualty loss or from robbery, theft, or embezzlement. Hindi pwede yung natalo siya sa sabong, magkiklaim siya ng losses. Wrong. Dapat casualty loss or from robbery, theft, or embezzlement. Next, such losses were incurred after the death, but not later than the last day for the payment of the estate tax. After the death. Okay. Losses were incurred after the death. So this is different from, or this is the opposite of unpaid taxes. Yung unpaid taxes, the taxes must have accrued prior to the death. Ito namang losses, the loss must occur after the death. That is the reason why isasama mo muna sa gross estate yung value ng property and then yung loss will be claimed as deduction. It must not have been compensated by insurance or otherwise. Hindi binayaran ng insurance kasi kung binayaran, wala nang losses. At the time of filing the return, such losses have not been claimed as a deduction in an income tax return. Okay, so halimbawa ganito. Saan ka na? Bakit nawala? Ayun. Fair market value ng property, 3 million. And then, losses, di naman naubos. Totally destroyed. Sabihin natin, 2 million. Binayaran ng insurance, nawala na. Gross of fair market value. Kakamali-mali na tuloy. Fair market value, 5 million. Value of the property lost, 3 million. Binayaran ng insurance, 500,000. So ito, isasama mo sa gross estate. Magkano yung deduction? Deduction will be 3 million minus 500,000 or 2.5 million. No. 1.5 million. Yes, yung loss pala is 3 million. So, 2.5 million, yan ang deductible loss. Sir, bakit po isinasama niyo sa gross estate ang nasunog na bahay? Kasi at the time of death, remember what you are preparing is the computation of the gross estate. At ang kasama sa gross estate ay ang mga properties which were still present at the time of death of the decedent. So kasama pa rin sa gross estate yung property kahit at the time na piniprepare mo na yung estate tax return, wala na yung property dahil nasunog na. Pero remember, at the time of the death of the decedent, nandoon pa yun, worth 5 million pa yun. Ibig sabihin ba, ibabayad pa natin yun ng estate tax? No, kasi i-claim din as deduction. Okay, para hindi tayo ma-confuse. Halimbawa, let us say the fair market value of the property is 3 million also. Naubos. Isasama sa gross estate yung 3 million. And then, deduction, 2.5 million. Why 2.5 million lang ang deductible? Kasi yun lang naman ang amount of loss suffered by the decedent or by the estate. Kasi nga, meron namang na-recover na 500,000. Okay. So, magkano ang taxable dyan or magiging subject sa estate tax? Yung 500,000 lang. Kasi ang deductible lang dyan, yung loss suffered. This is not a loss. This is not a loss. Kasi nga na-recover niya from the insurance company. Okay, multiple choice question. Which statement is incorrect regarding losses? Tingnan natin. Ang hinanap natin yung false. A building that has been raised by fire immediately after the interment shall still be included in the gross estate, even if it does not exist anymore at the time of filing the estate tax return. Yes! Kasi nga, nung mamatay siya, nandoon pa. Ang kinocompute natin, properties left by the decedent. Yung building is also a property left by the decedent. But will it be subject to estate tax? The answer is no. Because whatever is the value of the building at the time of death shall also be claimed as deduction from the gross estate falling under losses or casualty law. Next, in a casualty loss, the value of the property is included in the gross estate but subsequently deducted therefrom. Correct. Kasama sa gross estate and then deduction as losses. In a casualty loss, since the value of the property is included in the gross estate but subsequently deducted therefrom, it may be omitted in both. For after all, there is no effect on the net taxable estate. Wrong. Kasi ang gross estate nga, properties left by the decedent. Pag hindi mo sinama yung property, yung gross estate mo will be wrong. Although yung net taxable estate will be the same, pero mali yung gross estate mo. May tinago ka na property sa BIR. In estate taxation, the amount of loss deductible is based on the value of the property lost minus indemnity from an insurance company. Yes. Kung may indemnity, yung indemnification from the insurance company, that is not included in the amount of loss. Okay? So, gaya ng example natin, nakatanggap ng 500,000 from the insurance company, that is not a loss. Diba? So, the answer is Catriona. Next. Last. Hindi na ito kasama sa kukul, pero this is still included in ordinary deduction. Transfer for public purpose or transfer for public use. The amount deductible shall be the entire amount of all bequests, legacies, devices, or transfers to or for the use of the government of the Republic of the Philippines or any political subdivision thereof for exclusively public purposes. O dapat donation sa Philippine government. Paano kung ang doni, province, city, municipality, or barangay, deductible pa rin ba? Yes, still deductible. E paano kung donation sa foreign government? Not deductible. Mortis causa donations of property situated abroad. I-erase muna natin yun. Para di tayo malito. Malinaw. Malinis. Mortis causa donations of property situated abroad are deductible if the donor is the Philippine government or any of its political subdivision. Kahit pa yung property nasa abroad, basta ang donor Philippine government, deductible pa rin. Pero kung yung property nasa Switzerland at ang donor ay ang Swiss government, that is not deductible. To be deductible, the transfer must be testamentary in character. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng testamentary in character? With will. Kung nakasaad yan sa will, oral transfers are not deductible. Kahit pa sinabi niya nung nabubuhay pa, na ibibigay ko ito sa barangay San Juan, idodonate ko ito. If it is not embodied in the will, that is not a valid transfer kasi dapat it should be in a public document saka To be deductible, dapat nasa will niya. Testamentary in character. So, oral transfers are not deductible. Yan. Tatanong siya. Okay, dapat nasa will to be deductible. Kung wala sa will, pwedeng donation inter vivos, it might be valid. But we are talking here of deduction from the gross estate. Kung wala sa will, kung hindi testamentary yung donation, not deductible. Dapat daw ay nasa will para deductible. Ano bang ibig nilang sabihin? Yan. Naipaliwanag na natin. Next. Which of the following donations is not deductible from gross estate as transfer for public purpose? Not deductible. Tingnan natin. A. Donation mortis causa to the Philippine government by a resident citizen of a real property situated abroad. Deductible. Donation mortis causa to the Philippine government by a non-resident alien of a real property situated in the Philippines. Deductible. Kasi the donor is the Philippine government. At ito, kahit yung donor NRA, situated in the Philippines naman. Diba? Wala tayong problema dyan. Donation inter vivos to the Philippine government by a resident citizen of a real property situated in the Philippines. Inter vivos. So, this is not deductible kasi this is not testamentary in character. Donation mortis causa to the Philippine government by a resident alien of a property situated abroad. Okay naman kasi resident alien. Kahit pa the property situated abroad, the donor naman is the Philippine government. So, not deductible as transfer for public use, Catriona. Kasi inter vivos donation yan. Okay, tapos na tayo sa first group, kukul plus transfer for public purpose. In our next discussion, we will discuss family home. Before we discuss family home, vanishing deduction muna kasi maraming nahihirapan dyan na lilito. So, we will discuss vanishing deduction. O yung mga gustong bumili, 450. If the price is not 450, that is a fake copy. For online order, ipapadala sa inyo through JRS. Ang babayaran ninyo is 550. So, plus 100 lang. 100 pesos lang ang sasagutin ninyo. Sagot ko na yung kulang. Halimbawa sa Mindanao, more than 160 yung bayad sa JRS. Yung 60 plus, sagot ko. Sagot mo naman yung 100 pesos. But at least you are assured na yung copy genuine. You can just message us sa FB account, Certified Tax Technician. Okay. Thank you very much. Do not forget to follow, like, subscribe, and share. Diyos magbalos.